So I just talked about the dark age of Supernatural. Now let's go ahead and talk about the Renaissance era. As the title might suggest, these are some of the best episodes of the later eras of the show. So I'm excited to count down my top 10 of these episodes. Let's go ahead and get right in with number 10 on the list. So you knew this was going to be here, right? Okay, cool. Scooby-Natural has got to be the most insane episode of the entire show, just on premise alone. It's a Scooby-Doo crossover called Scooby-Natural. I know people who only stuck with the show after season 5 just so they can watch this one. Dean's been mentioned as a Scooby-Doo fan throughout practically the entire show, so I really enjoyed seeing that pay off in such a grand scale. Another interesting part of the episode, I think, is how they didn't really go the route you would expect. Season 13 introduces more of the multiverse into the show, but instead of literally placing Sam and Dean into the Scooby-Doo world, they get sucked into a haunted TV and placed inside a fantasy world inside of it. It's a cool decision that I ultimately really liked. And another thing that I really like about the episode is that pivot once the Scooby Gang realizes that they're not in their usual fare. Seeing the vibe change was really funny, like Shaggy just gets legitimately mad when his arm is broken. It's a really fun time and a great merging of two separate ideas and shows, and it creates something that ultimately feels really, really natural. I'd say the only drawbacks of the episode is just not as strong as some of the later entries on this list. But that's not a knock to this episode because everything on this list is actually really solid. Season 12's main storyline is often maligned for being incoherent and stupid, and it kind of is. The British men of letters aren't the most interesting antagonist, and when paired together with the idea of Lucifer trying to reach his son, the Antichrist, it can feel like the show didn't know what it was doing. I do think if there was one thing season 12 got right though, it was everything to do with Sam and Dean's relationship with their mom. I think Mary is a mixed character at the end of the day, but the show really did handle certain aspects of her very, very well. I like Sam and Dean having to come to terms with this version of their mother, this ultimately very real woman, not living up to what they imagined, and no episode handles that better than Who We Are, the penultimate episode of season 12. The resolution of the British Men of Letters plot is sort of whatever, but when the episode focuses on Dean's confrontation with Mary inside of her mind, it's really, really good. The scene of them talking and Dean's "I love you but I hate you," chef's kiss, one of the best. Genuinely heartbreaking stuff altogether, and it just creates a really enjoyable and memorable episode. Easily one of the highlights of season 12, and a solid resolution to the Men of Letters storyline, even if it's sort of just thrown out the window. This is an episode that really sneaks up on you. You see, back when this episode aired, my family had just gone through a huge loss, and while in town for the funeral, we watched this exact episode, and it really left an impact. Yes, it's a Monster of the Week episode with them hunting down a shapeshifter, but the fact that the bulk of it is taken up by Sam and Dean arguing over whether their mother is really gone, and ultimately allowing Jack to have closure with his own mother, was really well done. There's an earnestness to it that I feel like the show had really lost in the prior couple seasons. Combine all this with Castiel being dead in the empty, and literally willing himself back to life by arguing with it, and I think this is one of my favorite episodes of the era, and probably the strongest episode in the first half of season 13. It's really fun, has a lot of good emotional moments that ground it and keep it rooted in its character work. This episode, like the rest of this list, is a very inventive and strong one-off episode. Now though, we gotta talk about a plot-focused episode with Nihilism from season 14. Season 14 can often feel like it struggles to tell its story, but I think it does a lot right on a character level, and that can be seen in Nihilism. After the mid-season finale of season 14, Michael has taken control of Dean once more and is fully prepared to win. Instead of going for a gigantic battle though, the show decides to go for a smaller scale battle against Michael where he's chained up in the bunker. It's only a matter of time until he gets loose, so Sam and Castiel go into Dean's mind to try and break him free. Yeah, I know it's a similar premise to Who We Are, but I think it's really cool here, and I just kind of like this trope. I love the scene where Sam and Castiel stand inside Dean's mind, wading through his trauma, and the idea that Michael would lock Dean away in a happy memory instead of a sad one so that he doesn't know he's trapped was just such a fantastic idea. The way the episode reveals the plot with Dean becoming his own cage and locking Michael away in his mind was so good. It creates a lot of tension for the remainder of the season and acts as a great way to move the arc. You know, I watched the 2024 movie Longlegs, and all I could think while watching it was how much it reminded me of this episode. The real fun of this episode is that it just doesn't feel like anything supernatural is going on. Sam and Dean agree to help their friend Donna find her missing niece, and it genuinely feels like it's just going to be a serial killer case, and I really love those. The vibes of this episode are awesome. Seeing Sam and Dean try and track down a serial killer is fun, but I love the twist that it's actually someone running a monster red room where monsters pay for pieces of humans. It's so fascinating, and the way the episode transitions into that plot is really cool. It's just such a fascinating episode, and it's also so damn pretty. So many many shots in it just look really, really good. The lighting is great, the framing of them is really well done, and it adds to the oppressive and sad atmosphere. It's one of the most unique of the season in its structure, in its concept, and just in the way it looks. I really, really enjoy it. You know, it wasn't until the writing of this episode that I truly realized how similar the last episode that I just talked about and this one really are. Profit and Loss focuses on a very similar idea. It just seems like a serial killer at the start, but it goes in a more supernatural direction. This time it's a prophet of the Lord that's gone haywire and is killing innocent people that it thinks have sinned. All the while Dean is basically on a suicide mission. After having Michael locked in his head, he's convinced the only way to stop Michael is to lock himself at the bottom of the ocean and stay there forever, trapped. The entire episode just has this bleak feeling in it where Sam has to keep his brother from jumping off the ledge, and the final scene between the two of them, while derivative in some ways, feels like the embodiment of what the entire show is about. I really like how they handled it. The episode is a lot like season 14 as a whole. It's really moody, but very enjoyable, and I really like the way it handles its characters. Also, like the last one, it's just shot so damn well. It's even better than the last one. This episode is just gorgeous, from the camera work, to the blocking, to the lighting and color grading. There's some shots in this episode that have lived in my mind ever since I first watched it. In a show that, like Supernatural, that I feel like lost so much of its visual identity after the first 5 seasons, this episode really exemplifies that they can and do end up getting some of that back. Really, really good episode. What is it with episodes that are just smack in the middle of the season? This one's awesome too. This time it's a mini Quentin Tarantino movie. Directed by the actor who plays Gabriel, stuck in the middle with you, takes the show in a bold new direction with some really fun structure changes. The entire episode is told out of order in these little vignettes of each character all recounting what happened to them until we get to the actual truth at the end of the episode. I really, really love this one. It's one of the most creative episodes of the entire show, and it's so fun to watch. I love the lore fill-ins with Ramiel, and finding out where the cult has been the whole time was really cool, and it also manages to be really plot focused when we learn Mary decided to join the British Men of Letters. At the same time, we figure out all of those lore reveals. I definitely recommend this one. If you haven't seen it, go rewatch it. It's such a fun time. There's a lot of interesting things to say about this episode, but first of all, we need to talk about how it's a really good way to do the bury your gays trope, even if it still sucks that you would do that. Turns out when you reveal a major ship in your show's fandom is somewhat real and then kill the character, it leaves an impact. Despair is great for a multitude of other reasons though. The main one is tension. Season 15 is a final season that lacks a ton of tension. It feels flat most of the time, it doesn't have the drive that a final season should, and ultimately it just feels muddled in its attempt to close things out. But this episode? This one fucking rocks. After striking out in their attempt to stop Chuck, everyone that should have died in the past is dying now, for good, and it's a race against time to figure out how to stop it and save the remaining people. It's a really compelling premise, and I just love how on edge it makes me. There's a scene where they're really racing to save Sam's girlfriend Eileen, and it's just such a tense moment. They actually made a text messaging scene work and feel tense, and it's crazy. The climax is utterly brilliant in my opinion, and it really helps because all of these characters that we were introduced and built up to, seeing them die is kind of stunning. And whenever we get to Dean and Death running through the bunker, it's just crazy. The culmination of the episode with Dean and Castiel and the confession scene, it's wonderful. It's one of the few episodes in season 15 that actually feels final. Even if it doesn't fully make up for the season, I'm glad that it exists. This one's just messed up. Supernatural finales are often pretty hard to talk about. Some of them are really good and some of them are really bad, so it'd be hard to know what you're getting into each time you start one. Mariah knows what it wants to be, and so it decides to pull your leg a little bit. It takes you on this wild adventure where you feel like you're essentially getting a run-of-the-mill Supernatural finale. Jack has finally gone evil, Sam and Dean need to stop him, and out of nowhere, like the Deus Ex Machina he is, Chuck arrives with a way to fix the issue. But the catch is, whoever shoots Jack with his magic gun will die. Dean ultimately decides it'll be him, and Sam, meanwhile, is trying to figure out why this feels so manufactured, having a moment with God that is so well written that I wish I included it in my video about faith in the show. Ultimately, the revolution is God is messing with them because he's bored. He wants to watch his favorite show, which is Sam and Dean. It's a twist that I've long said I don't care for too much, so I get it may be odd that this episode is so high on the list, but it's just such a fascinating and well-written episode. To take the conventions of the show and flip it on its head in universe with a reveal that the creator of it all is evil, it blows my mind. It's really well executed, and it makes up for the twist feeling like it came out of nowhere. It was a great lead into the final season, even if the final season rarely ever lived up to it. Season 15, though, did live up to itself in this single episode. It's really good. After basically 16 episodes of twiddling its thumbs, season 15 decides that it truly wants to go crazy. This is the episode directly before Despair, what I talked about 2 episodes earlier, and basically everything I said about that episode holds true here, except this one is better in everything it does. The tension is off the charts, the main plot is told in such a fun way that it feels similar to Stuck in the Middle with the individual character vignettes that all culminate in a truly batshit climax that still throws me for a loop today. They turn Jack into a bomb, then Chuck says he's God so nothing can stop him, and then Dean even pulls a gun on Sam, his own brother. It's fucking insane. It's one of the few episodes where God as a villain actually works, and I really appreciate it. It's easily one of the most exciting and fun episodes of this era, and I think it's the one I always think about despite it being in the worst of the final few seasons. It's one that makes me wish season 15 was as good as the last chunk of episodes in it kind of end up being. And with that, I've counted down my top 10 episodes of every single era of Supernatural. What are your top 10 episodes of this era? Go ahead and leave me down in the comments your list so I can talk about how bad it is, or just how good it is. And what are your top 10 episodes of the show overall? Let me know if you want me to do another top 10 episode about the show. Top 40, top 100 episodes, there's 327 of them. I could talk for hours.